All right, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. How are you as a family?
Very fine, thank you. And yours?
We give glory to God. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Rotimi.
Good morning, sir.
How is the family?
Welcome. Very fine, sir.
Thank
Morning,
God.
Mr. Rotimi. Well done.
Good morning, sir. Yes, sir. All right,
Good
so let's
morning,
get started.
sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to everyone. So let's start. So today is Thursday, the 21st of March, 2024. So today is Thursday, the 21st of March, 2024. Yesterday, we had the FOMC. I remember telling us in the morning that I held a bearish outlook, for the FOMC. Yes, the way it was, the actual came out equal to the forecast. And I don't know whether we really I can't remember if we really emphasized more on if actually is equal to forecast at resistance that is still meant to sell, but that was the sentiment. Actual came out equal to forecast, and the market broke out in a bearish direction. But generally, technically, I said at resistance level, we're expecting to sell, the dollar, except if the news comes out as actual greater than forecast. But we ended up with the actual equal to forecast, and the market still went, in a bearish direction for the dollar. So generally, it was still in line with, what we expected. Now, today, we're having a lot of fundamental events again, quite a lot of them. In fact, today is loaded with so many fundamental events that may be a little difficult to take some technical trades until around 3 or 4 p.m. because we have events right from 9:15, which is just like exactly 2 hours away. And start having fundamental activity. So we have the French flash manufacturing PMI by 9:15, followed simultaneously with the French flash services PMI. And by 9:30, we have the CHF, NFB, SNB monetary policy assessment, SNB policy rate, and Euro German flash manufacturing PMI, German flash services PMI, all the 4 events by 9:30. And by 10, we have from Switzerland, we have SNB press conference. And from Europe, we have flash manufacturing PMI and flash services PMI, all three for 10 o'clock. And by 10:30, we have the GBP flash manufacturing PMI, GBP flash services PMI. And by 1 p.m., we have GBP monetary policy summary, MPC official bank rate votes. That's very important. Bank rate vote test talks about the interest rate or cash rate, and 1 p.m. official bank rate. So United Kingdom calls its own bank rate. I think Australia calls it cash rate. Other calls it interest rate. United States call it FOMC, but they all mean the same thing. And the general umbrella name for all of them is interest rate. So that is coming up by 1 p.m. All 4 events from United Kingdom. And by 1:30, we have unemployment claims and fully fed manufacturing index from United States. And by 2:45 p.m., we have flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI for United States, and 3 p.m. existing home sales. So today is a day for fundamentals. So if you have any running trade, I will advise you to put your stop loss in place because there's going to be a lot of activity throughout today, except till maybe around 4 p.m. before we may have some technical, setup, except you are a scalper and you can scalp, within the hour before the next news. But if you're a day trader, I will advise you stay action, as in you hold on concerning any technical setup until around that around 3 to 4 p.m. thereabouts. So for all the events, I will look now. We have a lot of them happening, cutting across different currency pairs. Like we have the euro and the CHF. So that could actually impact on the euro CHF currency pair. We have the euro and the USD, We have news coming from United Kingdom and United States of America also, which could affect the GDP USD. So we discovered that a lot of currencies will be affected, by all the news events that are happening today. But that notwithstanding, we'll still look at the technicals, the fundamentals, and we could still go around to check what the technicals will say, concerning each of these events. So now, as usual, our emphasis, will be on the ones that are either a red, for a sell or a green for a buy. Like now, by 9:15, a.m., we have all these events coming in from Europe. And if we end up having a green, let's start with a green. A green, will indicate a buy on this, on this event. If you have a green, it means we are looking to buy the dollar, sorry, the euro. If you have a green, I'm trying to apply the color. Okay, color is not adding on that one. All right, so if you end up with a green, that means we're looking for a buy. And if we end up with a red, that means we're looking up to a sell, on the euro. And the same thing, the one from Switzerland, if we end up with a green for Switzerland, it's a it's a buy. And if it's a red also, it's a sell. This time around, there's not going to be time to be checking whether it is actual greater than forecast or actual less than forecast. Let your focus just be on the colors because we have plenty. The events are very plenty. If it is a red, it is a sell. If it is a green, it is a buy. But then I'll now take us to the technicals to look at instruments that are generally positioned ahead of this news, which will help us to identify what to trade. For example, now by 9:15 to 9:30, we have events coming from Euro and Switzerland. Then we can take a look at Euro CHF. It might mean we may take some little patience to see what is happening, but then that's just the closest currency pair, that combines these two currencies. Like now, even that same 9:30, we have Euro and CHF combined together. So that's an instrument we can look at between 9:15 and 9:30 a.m. Now, if I flip over to my MetaTrader, I've been watching Euro CHF for a few days now. It's been trending up along this rising wedge pattern on the 4-hour time frame. And currently, as of last night, rather, it already hits a resistance level. It hit a resistance level here on the daily time frame. In fact, it's a key level because now here it's a support. It's a support turned resistance, Now price is hitting it again as a resistance, and technically we expect a bearish, reversal. So we're looking for a bearish opportunity on Euro CHF. So if the news comes out, now technically we have price hit a resistance, which is a bearish movement, and also a rising wedge, which is equally a bearish movement. So two reasons why we're looking for a bearish movement on Euro CHF. If I go down to the daily, to the weekly, on the weekly time frame, let's see. There's no other thing to check to see on the weekly. Okay, on the weekly, even previously, it rested on a support on resistance, even on the weekly, sorry, on the monthly time frame. So here, generally from a technical perspective, we are looking at selling this instrument. So if the news now comes out in such a way that it's bad for the euro and good for the CHF. That is, if you have a red on the euro and a green. Why red on the euro? Because if it's a red, that means we expect the euro to sell, while the CHF. A green means CHF will buy. So we have a Euro CHF where we have a red and a green. Then that will lead to a bearish breakout, on Euro CHF. So if the news is good, is bad for Euro and good for the CHF, we should expect, a bearish breakout on Euro CHF. We should expect to sell Euro CHF. And this could trigger, a very powerful swing on Euro CHF, because we've been watching out for this for quite a while. If the breakout happens some pips below, the current trend, recent low here, Fibonacci 38.2 could net as much as about 115 pips. To Fibonacci 50 could give about 159 pips, and to Fibonacci 1.8 could give as much as about 200 pips. So that is going to trigger, a powerful swing that, today is Thursday. It may even run through till next week. But then we should expect very massive amount of profit from such kind of trade. That is if the news does not favor the euro, but it favors the CHF. Now, we could also look at the CHF JPY. Now, the CHF JPY currently, just a second. All right, so the CHF JPY on the daily time frame, price actually hit a minor resistance. Though the trend is actually an uptrend, there was a triple bottom pattern here, which, price normally should target the next resistance level. So for the CHF, if the news comes out good for the CHF, we say for the Euro CHF, the news is bad for the Euro, but good for the CHF. Now, for the CHF JPY, if the news is good for the CHF, and we don't have anything on JPY, so if you have a good outcome for the CHF, we will be looking, you can buy. What I'm saying is that you can sell Euro CHF and buy CHF JPY. Because CHF JPY might still push to the next, resistance level, which is still about 74 pips, away. So that's in an event where the news, favors the CHF. You can sell Euro CHF or buy, CHF JPY. Another instrument that could react to the CHF news today is the USD CHF currency pair. Now, for the USD CHF, I remember telling us yesterday that I was seeing something that looked like a triple top pattern on the USD CHF, which could lead to a bearish breakout. And not only that, the price already hit a support turned resistance on this currency pair. Support turned resistance in this whole zone. So yesterday's candle closed as a rejection candle around that resistance level. So technically, we're looking for a bearish breakout on USD CHF. This pattern still remains a triple top, which technically will lead to a bearish breakout, also. So again, if the news later today is bad for the dollar and good for the CHF, that will also make USD CHF to crash. I'll repeat that again. If the news on the dollar later in the afternoon is bad for the dollar but good for the CHF, then USD CHF will crash, massively. If we zoom down to 4 hour, let's see, and 1 hour. Now, this is what I'm seeing on the 1 hour time frame. I can see a rising wedge. The daily time frame is a support on resistance. But on the 1 hour, what I'm seeing is a head and shoulder and a further drop. So once again, if the news later today is bad for the dollar but good for the CHF, then we could sell the USD CHF. But then the CHF news will come before the dollar. So if from the morning the news is good, for the CHF, like I said, you may buy CHF JPY or you can start selling. But I will advise you wait for this USD because the dollar is in the afternoon. So it's better we take a little caution because the dollar news will not come until later in the afternoon, maybe in the morning, because the euro and the CHF, the timing is close, just 9:15 to 9:30. The news is bad for the euro and good for the CHF. Sell euro CHF in the morning. But if it's in the afternoon, wait for the dollar before you sell USD So let's take note of that. Now, another news that will react to the CHF today is the GBP CHF. Now, our emphasis now is the CHF because it's coming up by 9:15, just less than 2 hours from now. Now, GBP CHF also has been trending in the bullish direction for a while, and currently is trading at a support turned resistance, which should lead to a bearish breakout. That's on the daily time frame. And on the 4-hour, we have a rising wedge. So again, now we have a news coming in from the United Kingdom, but that is until 1 p.m. Sorry, 10:30 rather, 10:30. It will span from 10:30 to 1 p.m. The first set of 2 events from the United Kingdom will come in by 10:30. Then the second set will come in by 1 p.m. So it will be a continuation, kind of. So the one by 10:30 a.m., if the news comes out bad for the, GBP, and we will have seen the CHF earlier from 9:15 to 9:30, we will have known if the news is good, for the CHF or not. So if the news is good for the CHF but bad for the pound, you can sell GBP CHF. So technically, we're looking for a sell on USD CHF, Euro CHF, and GBP CHF. So let's take note of that. Now, another instrument that could react to the news that we have today on the Euro side. Now, there's news on Euro. We've emphasized on the Euro and the CHF, but then there are other Euro instruments too that could react, to the Euro news by 9:30 this morning. And the 2 of them I'll mention is EuroCAD and the Euro New Zealand. Now, I hope while we're always doing this analysis, you have something like a trade journal, where you write all these things, because to be honest, it'd be difficult to just put it in your head as you're watching. It's advisable you write them down somewhere so that you don't forget. So I said we'll look at EuroCAD and Euro New Zealand. All right, let's look at the Euro New Zealand first. Now, this is Euro New Zealand on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, okay, let me clean up. On the daily time frame, we can see clearly that we have a case of a support turned resistance. Price broke support, became resistance. We expect a bearish continuation. And we also have a pattern that is looking a little close to what we call a tweezer top. A tweezer top pattern is a candlestick pattern where you have 2 candles of almost same size and almost same shadow, as almost same body size and almost same shadow size. So this one, not in the shadow is longer, but both of them, you are having a bullish and a bearish candle with long shadows side by side. Many times this kind of pattern could signify, the beginning of a reversal in the market. So if we flip down to 4-hour, we can see we have a very sharp rejection candle, some hours ago. Now, we can now go down to 1 hour where I could cite a proper rising wedge pattern. And price has actually broken out, below the trend line. So we have a perfect rising wedge here. So on the daily time frame, we have support on resistance, and on the 1 hour, we have a rising wedge. Price has broken out below the rising wedge. Now, if the news, for the euro, on euro CHF, we're looking at the news not favoring the euro. The same thing applies also here. If by 9:15, 9:30, the news on the euro does not favor the euro, you can sell Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand is bearish biased at the moment. It's weak. Now, what if the news favors the euro? If it favors the euro, the only thing that will happen is that price will go back up there to hit the resistance and may still fall. So I want to hold on to the longer term view compared to the short term. And if you take a look closely again, if you go maybe to a lower time frame, this is actually a head and shoulder. So if it comes out good for the euro, the second shoulder might just go up higher before falling. Otherwise, if the news comes out bad for the euro, it may crash, straight away. So I still hold a bearish outlook on the euro New Zealand. And the euro card, I think the euro card, we should trade it with caution, because what is actually here, it looks like the euro card has been ranging. You can see that price has been trading on this resistance for many days. Many days. Yes, if the news comes out bad for the euro, we expect a bearish breakout, because this is actually a range. So we have price bound within a resistance and support. So you can see that there has been a range within this level. So if the news comes out bad, we expect price to actually break out. But I think I should just emphasize more on the Euro New Zealand. For those who may have an issue, trading the breakout on this, the Euro New Zealand is, your surest bet. That is much more explicit. What's the last pair you called? That is Euro New Zealand, Euro NZD. That's this one, Euro NZD. So I think I'll focus more on this compared to the Euro card. Euro NZ and D. All right, so that's that. So again, another set of instruments I want to look at. I've mentioned the GBP CHF, for the GBP and the CHF news. GBP card is another instrument, we could be looking at today. Now, we've had a bearish outlook on this since last week. I mentioned it last week. I mentioned it again this week, but the instrument is yet to break out. So maybe today is a breakout day. This thing happens a lot in swing trading. There are times you may monitor a currency pair for like a week or more before it finally breaks out. It's part of the patience of swing. That's why, you must understand your personality when it comes to this business. If you're a day trader, you can't be this patient. That's the truth. For swing traders, it's part of the game. Because I mentioned this on Monday, that price, we have a rising wedge. It dates back to the weekly time frame. That's where we took our trend from. The resistance on the weekly time frame, the rising wedge on 4 hour, and price is expected to break out below this support zone. So if the news does not favor the pound, we can sell GBP card also. Just the same way we can sell GBCHF, we can sell GBP card if the news does not favor the pound. However, if the news favors the pound, we just expect a short-term, a minor bullish movement. So I'm favorable more towards the bearish outlook for the pound. So if the news by 10 o'clock thereabout does not favor the pound, you can sell either GBP or sell GBP card. However, if the news favors the pound, you can buy GBP USD if it favors. If it does not favor the pound, sell GBP CHF. But if it favors the pound, buy GBP USD. I remember clearly telling us yesterday that GBP USD was on a bullish trend because of this rejection candle on the uptrend. And initially, when the news came out yesterday, it looked like it was trying to sell, but you can see later on, it reversed to a full-blown, bullish movement, especially when the FOMC got released. So that trend is still on. So if the GBP news by 10 o'clock or so thereabout, if it favors the pound, buy GBP USD. If it does not favor the pound, sell GBP CHF or GBP CAD. Okay, so let's move on. All right, I think I've touched on virtually all except, okay, finally the dollar. Yeah, mentioned the other currencies, but let's look at the dollar. Now, from what is happening here, the dollar index is actually on a bearish trend. You can see we had a bullish candle 2 days ago, and the whole candle yesterday was bearish. And generally, we're in a downtrend, So technically, the dollar is expected to continue in its bearish direction. So if the dollar is expected to continue in its bearish direction, if the news comes out and it does not favor the dollar, then we may look at selling, the dollar. This time around, I will suggest you sell USD CAD and USD CHF. USD JPY is doing its own thing at the moment around the resistance level or so. I'll be very cautious of this, but I will even say more specifically USD CHF. If the news does not favor the dollar, sell USD CHF. USD CHF is far better than the other ones. So if the USD news in the afternoon does not favor the dollar, which is the technical bias on the dollar index, they can sell USD CHF. If the news favors the dollar, I will advise not to buy because the movement will not be much. It may just make the second shoulder to be longer and it will still come down. So I look forward more to a bearish outlook if the news does not favor the dollar. All right, so that's all for the fundamentals. Now, I'll just quickly take a few of the technicals, but I think most of the technicals too are already covered under the fundamentals that I mentioned. Okay, except let me just put a little emphasis on the JPY pairs. Those ones don't have any fundamental, outlook, but then there's a technical setup for a few of them. And I will look at CAD JPY, Euro JPY, and GBP JPY. Now, this is CAD JPY on 1 hour time frame. On the daily time frame, we can see that price is in an uptrend, bouncing off. And when it gets to this third time, which is where we are now, we expect a bearish bounce. And if we go to the 1 hour, we can see a rising wedge. So technically, if price breaks out below this support level, then we'll end up with a double top pattern and we'll end up with a bearish trade. So I'm looking forward to a bearish outlook on CAD JPY, hoping that price will break below this neckline at this level into a bearish trade. And that's for CAD JPY. And let's look at Euro JPY and possibly GBP JPY. The CAD JPY is on 1 hour. Please take note. So it's intraday setup. For the Euro JPY, it's looking like it's on a rising wedge, and it looks a lot like it's forming a head and shoulder pattern, which should lead to a bearish breakout. Price has currently broke out below the trend line, but is retesting it. So I believe this head and shoulder is still valid, and I expect a bearish breakout. So if that happens, we can trigger a sell on Euro JPY at the appropriate time. But like I said, all this technical setup, it would be advisable you wait for the effect of the news to be over, and that would be like around 3 p.m. Because currently we are not even seeing, they are not looking like they want to sell now. So we're just forecasting what will happen later in the course of the day. So I'm bearish on CAD JPY, on Euro JPY, and same thing on GBP JPY. For GBP JPY also, on the 1 hour, I'm seeing a head and a shoulder pattern with a rising wedge, which should lead to a bearish breakout. We have a minor, this is a major resistance, and there's equally a minor support here. So we have a strong key level here that price will also have to break before, we see a massive bearish breakout, on GBP JPY. But generally, I'm bearish on GBP JPY. I'm bearish on Euro JPY. I'm bearish on CAD JPY. I think I want to stop there. Though there's New Zealand CAD and the others, but I don't want to jumble too many, instruments together. This should just be fine, for now, because we have a lot of technical setup, which we're expecting to line up with the fundamentals. So let's just leave it like this. All right. So some people are asking about gold and NAS 100. So I'll look at those two. Just a second. All right. So we're looking at gold. Now, I remember telling somebody yesterday, somebody was asking me about gold, and I said I held a bullish outlook because the dollar, was bearish. And you can see that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened, because this is a kind of a resistance here. Price broke through the resistance, and gold, had experienced a massive bullish breakout. So what's going to happen today? Will gold keep buying? It all depends on what is happening to the dollar. The dollar is the one controlling gold now. We don't have any natural disaster or war. It's not really being affected by war and all those things. But then, what I can see that may happen later on, depending on the outcome of the news today, is that gold may end up forming a head and shoulder pattern, so that it could crash later. That's what I can see. But for intraday trading, there is nothing at the moment except we wait for the news. There's nothing to trade at the moment. So wait for the news on dollar by 1:30 p.m. If the news, now the dollar is technically bearish. So if the news comes out not to favor the dollar, which is a technical bias for the dollar, then we expect gold to go further bullish. But if the news favors the dollar, then that will trigger the downtrend on gold, which may lead to the second shoulder and the eventual breakout. So whichever direction the dollar news comes, just trade gold. If it favors the dollar, sell gold. If it does not favor the dollar, buy gold. So that's just my outlook on gold. Then as 100, I've held a bullish outlook on this instrument for quite a long while, because I believe it's been more fundamentally driven, and it's still proving that, fundamental side to it. Though currently it's trading around a resistance level on the daily time frame. If there is a sell, just take note it's a retracement. This instrument may not be reversing anytime soon. Two things will happen at this point. If you go down to 1 hour, let's go to 15 minutes. we may experience a retracement with a head and shoulder, but please take note, it won't be a sustained bearish movement. It's just going to be a retracement. So it will either retrace from this point, but if it's going to retrace, wait for the second shoulder to be formed and price breaks out, below it for a sell. I didn't draw that out too well. What I mean is this: if it comes around like this, you are only going to sell when price breaks the neckline. That's when you can trigger a sell. That is if it forms a head and shoulder pattern, because that's what I could see it's trying to form there. Otherwise, if it pushes further beyond this, then you need to wait for price to break out, retest, then continue. Those are the two scenarios, on the NAS 100. So for those trading NAS 100, please take note. It will go either ways. If it's a bullish one, wait for a breakout above, a retest, and a continuation. If it's a bearish trade, wait for the formation of a head and shoulder. Let price break out below the shoulder for you to trigger a sell. So that's my outlook on NAS 100. I think I've already analyzed gold, Mr. Barra. AED, USD, Euro, USD. Okay, those will be the last two that I will check. If you are here to get the PU profit scanner, you can still do that. So joining the group now, we are beyond that. But if you want the software installed for you, just fund your account. If you're an existing client means somebody who already has a funded account on the platform. You just reach out to your account manager and fund $100, or you can reach out to me to guide you through the process. Fund $100 if you're an existing client, and you get the PU profit scanner installed for you. I'll be the one to install it for you. And if you are a new client altogether, just verify your account and deposit $200. Now, we're not selling the software. We only want to have a trading deposit in your account to use the software. For new clients, it's $200 and you get the software installed for you. All right, so we're looking at AUD USD. To be honest, AUD USD looks a little dicey at the moment because technically we are bearish on the dollar. That means we are bullish on AUD USD because AUD USD is negatively correlated, to the USD JPY, USD CHF. But currently, price is at a resistance level. But at the same time, on the daily time frame here, we had a triple bottom pattern, which should lead to a massive, bullish breakout. So we are seeing both the possibility of a bullish trade and a bearish trade. But then I will want to support this triple bottom because it's a reversal pattern. If the news in the afternoon does not favor the dollar like we're seeing technically, price may break this resistance and continue in the bullish direction. So I will still want to support more of the bullish trend on AUD USD. If there is a bearish trend, it's just going to be minor before price continues, ultimately in its long-term bullish direction. So I still hold a bullish outlook on the AUD USD. And for Euro USD is the same. It's still the same bullish outlook also on the Euro USD. For Euro USD, I remember I think it was this meeting yesterday that I was saying that Euro USD was trading on Fibonacci 50. See, go and watch my video on Fibonacci's trading strategy on YouTube channel. You see it. I already put it there. Fibonacci 50 and 61.8, they are reversal points. Many times when price gets to those levels, you are just supposed to take profit. If it breaks 50, fine, it will get to 61.8. But sometimes or many times it may not go beyond 61.8 before it reverses. See now here, price, we had a rising wedge, perfect one, resistance on daily and 4-hour, but from Fibonacci 50, it reversed to the bullish direction. Now, if the dollar is going to be selling according to what we saw on the daily time frame, then we expect Euro USD to keep buying. Euro USD might push up, higher than the. So for the person asking about Euro USD, we still expect, a further. Now there is actually a resistance of. So it now depends on the volatility of the dollar news in the afternoon. The dollar news is quite. Sorry, that's if the dollar news is quite strong, price actually, break out. That if the news does not really favor the dollar, the massive edge breakout, then Euro USD will break above that resistance level and trade higher. All right, so I think that should be all this morning. Leave everybody.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Just a quick one. From the news yesterday,
Yes. Yes.
forecast was equal to the previous for gold, and gold really bought. I don't know why.
Sorry, let me go back. You said the forecast was equal to the previous for gold. The news was on the dollar, not.
Sorry, on the dollar. Forecast was equal to previous, but gold really, it was really bullish yesterday.
Sorry, let me just give me a second. Let me switch off all this this software so that it doesn't distract us, because I know I can hear you, but then it's impeding our conversation. I think it should go off in a few minutes. Yeah, you said the news, actual came out equal to forecast and gold bought.
Yes, sir.
Now, I said it in one of the classes that when trading news, now technically, we were bearish on the dollar yesterday. I don't know if you want the platform. I mentioned this in the morning that most of the dollar pairs were trading on resistance level. This is the USD CHF. It was on a resistance level. Let me clean out the other lines. USD CHF was trading on a resistance level right here. Not just a resistance level, even a triple top. This rejection candle was a candle for yesterday. This is resistance, this is resistance. The three of them make a triple top. This is a support on resistance. So technically, we were looking for a sell on USD CHF. I think the same thing also happened to USD CAD. USD CAD 2 was at a resistance level and a descending trend line. It was at a resistance level. Yes, this is the candle for yesterday. So we're bearish biased. Now, I said it that personally, I'll be looking for a scenario where the actual will be less than forecast to trigger a sell. But then at the same time, three things could happen when the news is released. It's either actual is greater than forecast, actual is less than forecast, or actual is equal to forecast. And I remember saying yesterday that if you have a scenario where actual, now when you have more than one event, I don't know whether it's this FOMC news I mentioned is another news that happened. If you have multiple events, and you have actual greater than forecast, in a scenario like this where technically we're looking for a sell, I would say for me, it's against the directional bias. I will not even bother to trade because what I'm looking for is actual less than forecast. The other scenario that could work is actual equal to forecast, because actual equal to forecast means, from the fundamentals, there is a kind of an equilibrium. The outcome is not greater and it's not less, but it's equal. Actual is equal to forecast. But that could also still make that instrument to sell, because technically the instruments we're talking about, which is the dollar, was on a resistance level on the daily. So if you don't have an actual greater than forecast, if you have an actual less than forecast or actual equal to forecast, the dollar will still sell. And that's what happened yesterday. So if the dollar is selling, now gold is negatively correlated to the USD CHF, for example, because for USD CHF, the dollar is the base currency, the CHF is a quote. For gold, the XAU is the base currency, the dollar is the quote. So if AUD USD is selling, gold will be buying. That's the truth. And I said yesterday morning that for gold, we should, if the dollar is selling, gold will find its way in the bullish direction. And that's what happened eventually. So that's what led to, gold buying, because the actual came out equal to forecast, which supports a bearish move of the dollar. Gold went in the bullish direction. I hope that explains it, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And final question, sir.
All right, sir.
In trading forex generally, is it advisable to use 1 hour time frame for scalping?
If you want to scalp, your best time frame for scalping is either 15 minutes, 5 minutes, or 1 minute. But then if you have devised a way, if you want to use 1 hour, 1 hour is intraday. So price is expected to move along 1 hour for a much more appreciable number of pips compared to what you will find on 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 15 minutes. Because the bigger the time frame, the bigger. If you say you want to enter, let's say you want to do a quick scalp of like 10 pips, price may reverse during that period. But if you're on a smaller time frame, yeah, it's recommended generally that you use those smaller time frame for scalping. Using 1 hour for scalping may backfire at some point. Shorter time frames are better. That's just general. You may do your analysis on 4 hours and make your entry on 15 minutes, or make your entry on 5 minutes. It's okay. That is when I mean analysis, you're looking for trend. Or you can even look for your trend on 1 hour and make your entry now on 5 minutes or 1 minute. So while you are looking for direction on the 1 hour or the 4 hour, make your entry. Let your entry be based on the smaller, time frame.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to end the analysis here. Please trade safe. We have a lot of news events. Trade safe and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye, sir.